Welcome back, everybody. In this video we are going to look now at visualizing some of the data on NodeRed on the cloud. So in a previous video we've sent data from our ESP32, sent a temperature reading up into this kind of table storage place for us in IBM Watson. And now what I want to do is I want to link that to NodeRed that's running on the cloud that will allow me to visualize that data. Okay, so we can go into our IBM account and we've installed NodeRed. We covered that in the video. So I can click into my IBM and we can go ahead and click into the URL that's been created first, and I can go into my NodeRed editor. Okay, now yours is going to be blank. Essentially what I'm trying to do is create what we have down here to visualize it. Okay, but I'll go through the steps for you. Now I've just added in some comments, so these are little comment boxes that we can add in a little bit of text test to display what we want to display. So basically what I'm saying, this is from my ESP32 section, and I'm going to read values from the IBM cloud, read values from IBM Watson, really, to make it just a bit more explicitly clear. And some particular devices. So we'd be doing a similar process here for the microcontroller, the ESP32, as we would for the PLC, but we'll build it up in steps. Okay, we'll just look at reading from Arduino up until the IBM cloud. Now what I've done is I've just hooked back up my ESP32, so I've powered it up. We're still running the same code, and I can see it's connected to my Wi-Fi, my hotspot, and it's posting data up into IBM Watson, and it's posting it okay. And I can see if I go into my IBM Watson, showing disconnected at the moment, but if we hit a little refresh on the web page, we'll see connected, and we should see the events coming through here nicely. And even if we want to still go another step, we can look in at our card and we should see the temperature readings coming through. Okay, that's all well and good, but I want to visualize my data now with NodeRed. Okay, now a couple of things we've got to do. We need to set up an IBM IoT command. So there's a lot of different functions and libraries here that you would need to install. One of them is from this here. Where is our IBM Watson? Sit here, IBM in. Okay, so this is the one, IBM IoT in, and what we can do is we can now configure this to through API key, which we've saved previously, and we can get a correct device. So we've got to put in our API key. Okay, so we had this details previously. Let me just get it back up. So we have our organizational name, our API key, etc., etc. So what we got to do for this, we've got to set up our API key. We've got to make sure our server name is correct. So our server name is our own company ID or organizational ID. That same tag, that's okay. Our API token is this thing here, which we used previously. And then I think that's it. May need to add in something else there. We're looking at the events, device events, yes. The device type we can now put in, because we're only looking at one particular type, one particular table within, and the device ID, we should be able to get that one there. Device ID, and we got to say it's a registered device. Format will be JSON. Yes, I think that'll be enough to get us connected. May need to add in something else to that. Now from that, what we'll want to do is we'll want to have a little debug message to say if we had some succession or not, or we can get some error messages just in case we made a mistake. And then what we also need is we need a function block. The function is going to be very useful to us because we'll use this a number of times throughout the project, but especially when we're passing more than one variable, we need to kind of inspect the table and then sort our temperature, humidity, or what all the metrics that we're trying to find. We need to sort them out. Okay. Now what we want to do is we're just going to display one output. We're going to write one output out and then display it on a dashboard. But if we were using multiple, you'll see we'd have to have multiple kind of outputs here. But we're going to have a function that's basically going to store or find the right data for us, and then we're going to display that to a dashboard. And we're going to use our dashboard commands, and we're going to look for a gauge, and we're going to pop that here. Okay, and the gauge will be our temperature. Now we're going to group it. We'll create a new group. We've gone through videos on these dashboards before, but group will be called well, we'll just do, it'll be on the SP. The group will be BME 280 sensor. Okay, we'll add that. It's on the tab, the ESP32 tab. It's going to be engage. The label, we will give it as temperature. Value, the units. Min, max, we'll set that to 100. Put some colors on it if you want. We'll put the name as temp. Okay, so you can play around with those properties yourself to get them the way you like them. I'm going to connect that. Now our function, we got to write some function here. What we're going to do is we're going to create a variable, and it's going to be a message, okay, and a message T for message temp, okay, and it's basically going to be empty at the moment. Okay, so basically every metric that you're going to come in, you're going to create a new variable for it. Okay, and just to show you that, you know, what we're looking for is, depending on how many variables we're taking in, actually that shouldn't be there, we're storing two variables. We need to find out, so we need to sort them out into different messages and then return that. So empty variables, then we're storing the payload with the payload value coming from temperature, humidity, whatever it may be, and then we're returning it. Okay, so what I can really do is I can copy and paste this. So to go back in here, what I've done is I've created a variable. It's a message, which basically message is a topic and a payload, and then I'm basically saying the payload, the value of this message, needs to equal the payload coming in from my IBM Watson that has reading that temperature. Remember, it comes in like a JSON string. It comes in this whole bit of data here, and I'm basically trying to inspect that to find which one has the temperature and give me that value there. Then I got to return that exact message for temperature. Okay, so there's a little bit in that. You would just be replicating that out if you had multiple metrics. The other thing you would do if you have multiple outputs, you need to actually go into the setup of the function, and you'd select more outputs so you can have more things to visualize from there. But at the moment we're just using one. So I think that would be okay. I can deploy that. Once we deploy that, let's see. Okay, so we're having a small little problem here on the IBM account. So let me just double check a couple of things here. Yes, actually, sorry, I've made a bit of a mistake. Okay, so when we're configuring this IBM node, okay, we're actually, the API key I'm looking for is not the API key that we had for the table. Okay, it's not that token, it's a different one. Okay, so what we're essentially saying is here we have IBM Watson that will have different devices and different tokens for where the data gets written to those. But when we have the application, NodeRed, which is another software application, it needs an API code to be able to read to all of this application. So I've actually got to go into apps, And what we again will do is generate an API key. You can call this as like your NodeRed link. Okay. You don't need to set it to expire. And what we wanted to do is we want this to we just had to double check. We want it to be a device application. We want to generate a key. So again, you will need to save this. Very important information. Okay. So you want to take the API key. This is NodeRed access. Make sure you save this. So API key. And then we also want our token. So save that. View that. If we want to access control device application, so that should be able to read and write for us now. So if I go back to my devices, back onto my applications, NodeRed. Let's roll this device application. Let me see, can I edit that? Yeah, I believe that's right. So I've now got my API key for this. So this is ultimately giving this piece of software access to this platform. And then within that, we can specify down of where we want to go. So I'll need to edit that. So we'll put in our key and our token. So put in the key, put that in there, and then the token will be this token. And that will give it access to the full IBM Watson account. And if I deploy that, hopefully we'll have a bit more success. Yes, now the data is coming in. We can see it coming in every second. It's in under that object and it's in under that temperature range. We can see it's connected. And then that's how we specify where we actually want it to go. So once it's got control, that API gives control to the whole set of tables that we may have in here. And then that data's coming in. I can see it's being read in every second. And I've put a visualization for it. So now if I want to visualize this, I need to copy this URL, but put a slight extension on it. Sorry, if I can get a new tab on it. Open that and then go /UI for user interface. And I should see my BME sensor under my ESP32 tab. There's temperature. That's the value it's reading in. Should be pretty similar to what is here, maybe just with a slight delay, but that looks pretty good. And if I blow on the sensor, we should see the value changing. So we visualize that data. Super. We have it fully linked, and we could continue to edit this NodeRed to further edit our dashboard. And as I said, if you want more metrics coming in from your ESP32, you would have more metrics coming in there. We would do a similar setup again then for our PLC, connected into our IBM account using the same API code, but just looking at different areas or different tables to publish the data. And then we could start creating basically some buttons on here that will also interact with our software.